We are now going to learn how to organize quantitative data. Remember, quantitative data is numerical data, and it can be either discrete, which means it's countable or finite, or continuous, which means it can be infinite and it can be a mixed number or a fractional number. Well, we're going to start with page 95, question number 36, which is entitled Waiting. The following data represent the number of customers waiting for a table at 6 p.m. for 40 consecutive Saturdays at Bobak's restaurant. So we have all the way from 11 to 5. And in order to look at this information, first of all, just to reiterate, the data is discrete because we are counting the number of customers, and customers are countable. Therefore, we want to list each number separately. So in order to make a frequency and a relative frequency table, we want to put down the number of customers who had to wait, and actually the number of times 3 customers had to wait, the number of times 6 customers had to wait. And we notice the minimum number of customers waiting is 3, the maximum is 14. So under number of customers, we want to start with 3 and finish with 14. So in order to be able to set up that particular column so we can construct a chart, we're going to put a apostrophe 3, apostrophe 4, apostrophe 5, and since I do not want to do that till we get to 14, we're going to scroll down and we can fill the rest of this column up to 14 by taking the right side with the plus sign, going all the way down to 14, and there we have the wait time for 3 customers and up to 14 customers, and the frequencies I've already filled in the chart is the number of times 3 customers had to wait, the number of times 8 customers had to wait, and the number of times 14 customers had to wait. Now we would like to be able to fill in the relative frequency, and remember that is the percent of time each time 3 customers, 12 customers, or 14 customers had to wait for the table at the restaurant. Well, in order to do that, remember we want to be able to total the total number of the frequency, or the total number of days that were calculated or that was surveyed. And this is also a good way to check to make sure that we have not eliminated any of the data or miscounted. So we go N because it is a sample. And I'm going to go to my auto sum, so it adds up this frequency, and we get the 40, which means we've done this correctly. Now we want to calculate the relative frequency, and remember that is the frequency per category divided by the sample size. So we have 2 divided by the 40, and because 40 is the divisor for all of the numbers, we want to make that a fixed cell. And again, once we have that information, 5% of the time, we can scroll down because we copied that formula and we have that information. Now we would like to answer 2 questions. What percent of Saturdays has 10 or more customers waiting? Again, we can create a formula. So we have equal sum, and I type in SU, and the SUM comes up. And 10 or more, so we go to 10 customers. We scroll these pieces of information from 10 to 14 customers, and we have that in decimal notation, and I want to increase that to a few more decimal digits, so I go to the increase the decimals. Then I want to know for 5 or fewer. Again, we go equals, and we type in the SU for sum. We click on the sum, and we go to 5 customers up to 3 customers. Again, that will give us the information, and is in decimal notation, and something is wrong there, so let's do that again. Oh, I did everything, no wonder. Equals sum, and again, putting a parenthesis down, I want to take 5, 3, and 4. And we get 0.2. That's much better. Now we want to put this in percent notation. So we scroll on these 2 numbers. We go up to the percent sign. I want this to represent to the nearest tenth. So we have 27.5%. We have 20%. Now we're ready to deal with our histograms. So we take the number of customers and we have our frequency, and we scroll those 2 columns. We go to insert. We go to our column chart. We want three-dimensional. And with Windows 8, we're going to do this a little bit differently. Usually for design, you can scroll down and you change it. Here I go to quick layout, and you'll see that information also on any other computer. We want layout 8 because we want the histogram, and we see that particular distribution, and I want to make the chart type a little bit narrower so we can fill in the relative frequency chart adjacent to this one. Again, I want a relative frequency distribution, so I'm going to scroll down the number of customers, press the control chart, go to relative frequency. I have these two non-adjacent columns highlighted. Again, I want to go to insert. I want my column chart. I want three-dimensional. And again, you notice we have the same initial chart. I would like this to look like a histogram because even when you're counting numbers, it is continuous. I go to my quick layout. I have the histogram. Again, I'm going to make that a little bit narrower. And we have our frequency histogram, our relative frequency histogram. Notice that the only difference is the fact that we have the y-axis going in whole numbers. Here we are going in decimal notation, and we have our frequency and relative frequency information. Now you go and try.